American subs are notoriously stealthy and difficult to track. Iran, meanwhile, has a fleet of 19 subs, though most of these are midget submarines. These small submarines are primarily used to attack shipping inside the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman, with advanced capability being to block traffic of large oil-laden ships in case of war with the U.S. This would have a devastating effect on chemical gas prices, and it's the U.S.'s top priority to locate and destroy these kind of submarines before they can succeed in their mission. The rest of the Iranian submarine fleet consists of 3 Soviet Kilo-class, 1 Iranian Cognac-class submarine, though the latter is not well suited for deep water operations. Again, largely lacking modernity in the fact that these are diesel-electric submarines means there could still be a significant threat on wary U.S. assets. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the U.S. Navy allowed its once prolific anti-submarine warfare capabilities to seriously atrophy, leading to a series of embarrassing exercises with friendly nation submarines in the early 2000s. However, since then, any hostilities seem more likely with China, and the U.S. has beefed up its ASW capabilities once more, even adopting fleets of drones to aid in the task of hunting down and tracking enemy subs. Killing a major American ship with an older and less technologically advanced sub is not impossible for Iran, but very difficult and extremely unlikely to happen more than once. Iran's surface fleet has only about 9 major combatants in the form of corvettes and frigates, the rest being battleships, boats, and patrol boats. Iran's surface combatants would face 92 American destroyers and 22 corvettes, though likely it would be carrier-based aircraft that would destroy Iran's surface fleet before it can take much action against American ships. However, smaller patrol and torpedo boats could prove more difficult to target, and if avoided swarm tactics, could end up at least causing significant damage to Iranian ships. The advantage is clearly on the U.S. side in almost every single category, with U.S. forces fielding far more capable equipment and better trained troops. So, how would a war with Iran play out? A real war would be unlikely to include ground forces, as the U.S. would be very reluctant to get dragged into yet a third ground war in the Middle East. However, if relief incursion was necessary for some reason, the U.S. would have to commit ground forces in the effort. First, American carrier-based aircraft supported by the Air Force strike aircraft flying from nearby friendly airfields in Saudi Arabia would launch a massive air assault against the nation. No doubt, Iran would immediately or even preemptively launch a large ballistic missile attack against these airfields and even U.S. vessels, but thanks to robust air defenses and the assistance of Saudi defenses, few of these missiles would cause significant damage. Iran has proven in multiple missile attacks against Israeli targets that its targeting capabilities are spot on, further reducing the threat posed by ballistic missiles. American Wild Weasel aircraft would first engage enemy air defenses, destroying either missile platforms themselves or their supporting radar. More short-range air defenses might threaten some U.S. aircraft, but it's unlikely that Iran would mount a significant amount of U.S. planes. Traditionally, the U.S. is extremely good at neutralizing air defense networks, and while some air defenses may be mobile, their radars rarely ever are. Without radar, most air defense assets are practically useless. Iran could rely on actual anti-air artillery left over from the Cold War, but with U.S. planes flying so high, this is unlikely to achieve any results. Next, American planes would pummel missile sites, command and control nodes, logistics hubs, and even troop barracks, bringing devastation across the country from the air. Strikes would also take place against port facilities and major surface warships, while other advanced units and big submarines could cooperate with ASW aircraft submarines and neutralize it. However, even an overwhelming aerial campaign would be insufficient to bring Iran to heel. For that, the Americans would have to commit to a ground war. Invading through Iraq would be difficult, as it would mean passing through thick swamps that favor the defender, and then running straight into the Zagros Mountains. Going into Turkey would be incredibly unlikely. Turkey did not allow the U.S. to use it as a staging base for Iraq's invasion, and relations between the U.S. and Turkey have significantly soured since then. Going through Afghanistan in the east would mean traversing 2 deserts, which would put U.S. forces far from strategically important targets. It's likely then that an amphibious assault would be necessary, and while the U.S. Navy and Marines are up to the task, amphibious assaults can be costly, dangerous affairs. However, once in country with a beachhead established, even with superior capabilities, actually defeating Iran would be difficult for the U.S. That's thanks to the sheer size of the country, which is larger than several European countries combined. A study in the late 2000s showed that the U.S. would need about 1.6 million troops to successfully occupy the entire country, meaning the U.S. would either have to initiate conscription or draw in partners for the invasion, something it might actually be able to do given tensions in the Middle East between Iran and many of its neighbors. If the invasion was reasonably justified, the U.S. could likely count on international support anyway. In all likelihood, Iran would try to make the U.S. bleed as much as possible with its conventional forces, but seek to defeat it through asymmetrical means like those deployed in Afghanistan. Intelligence shows that today Iran is attempting to infiltrate a network of agents into the U.S. to target political figures such as former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who's now under guard 24/7. By turning to terrorist group allies, Iran could turn America's invasion into a second Afghanistan. The U.S. public has thin stomach for yet another two-decade war. However, the U.S. might be able to count on the Iranian people themselves to help them overthrow the current regime, especially if it keeps civilian casualties to a minimum. Many people in Iran are tired of living under sanctions and under the thumb of an oppressive Tehran regime, and it's likely that the U.S. would be welcomed as liberators across much of Iran. In this regard, Iran is different from either Iraq or Afghanistan, and it aligned with popular support for Iran's ability to launch a successful asymmetrical campaign against U.S. forces. As we write this, you don't have to look far to find headlines in the media stating the words U.S. and Iran into conflict. The BBC writes that the USA has sent over 1,000 troops to the Middle East because, according to the American Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan, Iran has been acting hostile. Iran has been accused of oil tanker attacks, and the country has said will also soon reach a 2015 deal regarding its uranium stockpiles. The New York Times has called this a new confrontation with the West. How bad can this get? What kind of a threat would Iran be? Is there really a threat at all when compared to the might of the U.S. military? Let's have a look. If you watch many of our other military comparison shows, then you're likely already an expert when it comes to the arsenal of the U.S. military. You'll know that the U.S. spends more on defense than any other country by a long, long way. Sources differ, and it's hard to get the exact spending down to the last dollar, but in 2018 it reported that the USA's defense budget was somewhere between $557 billion and $597 billion. But if you go to the actual U.S. Department of Defense website, one of the first things you'll read is that President Trump plans to pump an extra $160 billion into defense. The prediction from the DoD, right from the horse's mouth, is that by the end of 2019, defense spending will reach $696 billion. Where does all this cash go? Well, the DoD website just breaks it down into simply various departments: the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Joint Chiefs. If you're wondering what the Joint Chiefs are, well, they kind of run the show. Part of their mission statement reads, "The future operating environment will place new demands on leaders at all levels. Our leaders must have the education and experience to meet those demands." It's not all about spending money on human toys, of course, because we have a lot of paychecks as you see. The U.S. military has 2,083,100 personnel, 1,281,900 work as active personnel, and 801,200 reservists. On top of that, you have all kinds of special units and